What the? Wait a minute. Am I filming a SmegChris review? Ow. Hey guys, yep, I'm back with a SmegChris review. Woo! I don't want to shout too loud, I don't want any of the neighbourhood to hear me. I said I was going to be back with SmegChris review. Here it is. It's back. After, what, 2.5 years or something like that? 2 years? I don't actually know. Anyway, I finally got around to watching a film that came out this year, and I'm going to review that. But first, I want to talk about a franchise that's been playing in my head over the past few months. I'm talking about the Terminator franchise. See, recently I decided to rewatch the television show, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, because I felt like I need to watch it again because I want to get rid of the box sets, which I have done since I've donated to charity, because I felt like I'm never going to watch them again. And it did get the ball rolling for the whole franchise in my head, and it just won't go away. So I think I need to talk about it to get it out. You know, sort of rip it out and throw it at the camera. And what better place to do it than a SmegChris review? Okay, so let's not talk about the Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day, because they're perfect, as we know. And that's the problem with Terminator 2, because it's that perfect, anything afterwards was just not going to work as good. And that's been proven time and time again. And so we got Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, which I did enjoy, but there's a lot wrong with it. Yes, we got Arnie back, and for comic relief, the psychiatrist from the first two movies. I don't know why that was put in there. It wasn't that funny. But there was no James Cameron, for starters. That was a big thing. No Linda Hamilton. And because of personal problems, no Edward Furlong either. So he got replaced. And so the film felt a little underwhelming. However, I did love the way it ended, where John Connor is like on the radio and they're saying that the machines have risen and, you know, it's the start of the war. That was good. And this is where it goes a little cocker, because the next time we saw anything to do with the Terminator was the TV series, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. And the thing with that show was it completely ignored Terminator 3. In fact, this took place after Terminator 2. Also, they broke a rule. They went forward in time. I'm pretty certain they said that they can't do that in, I think, the first one or the second one, I don't know. It was a pretty decent show to begin with. It got millions and millions of viewers, and what I enjoyed about the first season was it was only half a season, so it was just one thing after another, and it just kept going. And then came along the second season, which wasn't as good. Don't get me wrong, Shirley Manson as the alternate T-1000 or whatever she was fantastic in it, but then they brought in some other side characters that had little point in the whole story. It was alright that they got Kyle Reese's brother along for the ride, he was okay, but he brought along those side characters and they were just pointless. And so the viewership just went down and down and down, and so when the last episode came along, it got cancelled. Now here's where my brain started running, thinking about the Terminator franchise, because I always hoped that the series would lead into Terminator 3. It didn't. And it ended on a cliffhanger, and we never saw what happened next. And I really hate that about TV shows. It's these TV companies, like Warner Brothers, when they cancelled Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Yes, that still gets to me, but I digress. As I said, I've just recently rewatched the series, and the box set came with a commentary on that last episode. And I thought, well, I'm never going to watch it again, I might as well watch that. And that brought a lot of insight into that episode, because the writers who were talking on the commentary were saying that they gave it a lot of closure because they didn't know at the time whether or not they were going to get another series. And so they gave it sort of like a bookend, and that's how it ends. That it's still got a cliffhanger, but if it didn't continue, that's how it ends. That John Connor's gone into the future, and that's when he becomes eventually becomes the Resistance leader. And I thought, that's actually a good way of looking at it. Another reason it got cancelled, apparently, I don't know if this is actually true, was there was a new film coming out, Terminator Salvation. And we all know how well that did, don't we? Again, it seemed that they continued from Terminator 2, ignoring Terminator 3, and completely ignoring the TV series. I actually enjoyed the film when it first came out, but upon watching it a few more times, I've gotten a little bored of it. But it was at that point I started thinking about things, and of course watching the TV series recently has cemented that thought, but I'll get to that. We then got Terminator Genesis. Arnold Schwarzenegger was back, and they tried to sort of reboot the whole franchise. They were talking about making that into a trilogy. Again, it didn't do so well, therefore it didn't continue on from that story either. And for some reason John Connor was the villain. What was that all about? I never got that. However, when we got Terminator Dark Fate, the sixth one, the latest one, I actually enjoyed that one. Not only did Arnold Schwarzenegger come back, but so did Linda Hamilton. And yet again, it was a continuation from Terminator 2, completely ignoring all the others again. But like I say, I enjoyed this film, and it really got me thinking about what is going on with the franchise. And as I said, watching the TV series has cemented that thought. Everything after Terminator 2 is an alternate timeline from each other, so they don't have to continue. It's so simple. However, you have to think, which one is actually the one that continues from Terminator 2? In my mind, I would say Dark Fate, because you've got two of the original characters back. But that also got me thinking about the original Terminator film. That is not the original timeline at all. The original timeline would have been Sarah would have met somebody, had a baby called John. Don't know if he'd have been called John Connor or she got married and was John Smith, let's say that. And the timeline just went on along smoothly until the machines rose. Everybody started dying. John went off to become the resistance leader. And then found out that the Terminators, or the Skynet was... yeah, Skynet, I almost forgot what that was called, had created a time machine, and they were going to send a Terminator back in time to kill Sarah Connor. So of course he had to send somebody back. But at that current moment in time, on that timeline, Kyle Reese is not his dad. It would be somebody else. So Kyle Reese would have just been a random that he'd send back in time. So you're thinking, oh, so that's the timeline we saw. No. It'd have had to have been rebooted again before. Because John Connor, as he's called in the future, would have sent Kyle Reese back knowing he's his dad. So he'd have had to have already sent him back in the first place so that he does become his dad. Am I making sense? I'm almost confusing myself. So just think about it. Terminator's gone back in time to kill Sarah Connor. Kyle Reese has been sent back. He rescues her. In the process, ends up fathering John Connor. And so that John Connor grows up and realises that Kyle Reese is his dad, and he has to send him back to save his mother in the past. And that's the original timeline that we finally got to see. So it had to have gone twice before that happened. And that's why it's cemented in my head that all these other stories are different timelines in the Terminator franchise. Whew, that was a mouthful, and I'm finally glad I've got it off my brain. I mean, do you guys agree with that? I don't know. Anyway, I've finally got it off my chest. Let's move on to the review. And the film that I went to see was Argylle. And I have to say, it is excellent. I know, spoiler. There are so many great actors and actresses in it. Bryce Dallas Howard was absolutely fantastic in it. I'm so glad she was the lead role. Sam Rockwell shows up and his character is just brilliant. I can't get enough of him. Even when he plays villains, I like him. And of course there are other people in there like Henry Cavill, who makes an excellent... I'm trying to not spoil it. Character. See, Bryce Dallas Howard plays a character called Ellie, who's a writer, and she's come up with these spy novels starring Argylle. However, because her writing's so good, she's sort of predicting what's happening in the real spy world, and so this evil organisation come after her. I know the plot sounds very absurd. Trust me, when you get to the end, it becomes more clear. But I'm not going to reveal that, that's a major spoiler. Although I have to say, before that was revealed, I kind of guessed what was happening, but that's just me. So once Sam Rockwell's character shows up, he's a true spy, and he starts rescuing her from all these bad guys, and there's a lot of action sequences and a lot of plot work and trying to guess what's happening, and I've just realised I'm waving my hands about way too much. Again, I've got back into this again. Yeah, it's really been 2 years and I'm back to doing that again. You can tell it's directed by Matthew Vaughn, the guy who did the Kingsman films and also Kick-Ass. I say this because some of the fight sequences, especially towards the end, are amazingly beautiful. Trust me, these are scenes that you've not seen before. And the way the story ties up towards the end, I absolutely love it. And there's a little bit extra after some of the credits, which might lead into another film. I don't know. I kind of hope they do, because it does leave some interesting questions in your head. Which means I'm going to be digesting that like the Terminator franchise. Oh no. I mean, some of the sequences are a little over the top, but what do you expect from Matthew Vaughn, eh? And some of the plot twists, they're just spot on. Anyway, overall, I give Argylle a wonderful film, totally recommend. Oh great, I'm doing thumbs up now. When did that start? And that's it for the first episode of SmegChris Review that I've done in over 2 years. I hope it was worth it. Right, all that's left for me to say now is thank you for watching and subscribing if you have, and liking this video if you did. Until the next time, peace out. Just trying to figure out which Terminator films I actually do own, because like I said, I've got rid of the Sarah Connor Chronicles. I don't want to get rid of the films though. Obviously I've got the first two. I've just recently got them on DVD, even though I've still got them on VHS. Also got Terminator 3, a very big limited edition 2-disc theatrical version of Terminator Salvation. It's actually kind of cool, that. I also have Terminator Genesis, but do I have Dark Fate? Well, it's not on there, so is it in my new pile? What the? Are you kidding me? I don't have it. What? Right, the next time I see it in a shop, I'm buying it.